Welcome to another IronCAD tutorial. This one is dated 9/9/2024 from Too Tall Toby's practice examples. This is actually one of their CAD tournament files. It was a flanged cap. So fairly simple model to do in terms of geometry, but basically there's some things you have to deal with. You have your base here, and we have a 35-degree angle, and then we have different thicknesses. So we have an 18-millimeter bottom, 14-millimeter throughout the side here on the top, and 12-millimeter on the side here. Then we have some holes, bolt holes on the side, and then we have these slot features that are angled 45 degrees 4 places from there. So let's go ahead and show you how to do this in IronCAD, and let's get started. So in IronCAD, we're going to go ahead and start with the base. So we'll drop a cylinder out here, and we'll go ahead and set its values. We know its overall distance is 175, and the height of that is 18 for that. Typically, you would go into a sketch and draw this sketch shape here in the angle. So I'm going to show you another way to do that, which is in our shapes catalog. We have a feature here that is, let me scroll down a little bit, it's called a part cone that we can drag and drop out here. And we can just pull this out to set this values here. Just to get started here, we'll go ahead and pull that out a little bit, pull this up, and then we can edit the distance from the top here, from our bottom, which we know a value is 125 for that. So that is the starting point for this particular shape here. So we can see we have a sketch that defines that. If you toggle your handles here, you can see that sketch is already there. So we don't have to actually draw that. We can just start with this and then modify that by going to the right-click menu and hit Edit Cross-Section. And it's telling you this is being driven by variables. So you can actually drive the height of this and the angle by the variables, but it's not going to give us what they need in this case, which is the top distance and the angle only. So we're just going to go ahead and say, yes, we want to go ahead and modify this profile directly. So a couple things that we want here is, first, this length here needs to be at a value of, let's see, 45 divided by half, that's 2.5. Will give us that value, so that will give us a distance, and it maintains this angle here. But in our case, this angle needs to be a negative 72.5. And the reason that is, that'll give us the total of 35 for that angle inside of there. So that will give us our value for that. So now we know that's our 22.5, that's the 72.5 if we select on this, to give us our overall angle for that shape. So let's go ahead and hit finish, and that will give us our starting point for that. Next, let's go ahead and do our extrude or a boss off the outside of this. So I'm just going to drop a cylinder on this point here at the top, and I'm just going to simply turn on our tri-ball. I'm going to rotate it down 90 degrees. And then I'm going to push it down. Since it's got a value from the bottom of 68, so let's just go ahead and select this handle, right-click, edit distance from point, select that, and it's going to be a distance of 68 from there. And we know this value here for this overall dimension of this guy, let me see where that is 56. So we'll just go ahead and hit 56 for the diameter of that. And we know the distance from the center is 120, so we'll set that out as well. Next, we'll go ahead and put the cylinder on the end here. We'll move this in a little bit, and we can just flip this on to the inside. We're going to flip the extrude direction, and we know the diameter for this guy is actually, let me double check that, 100 for that. And again, this is 18, so we can set, instead of 25, we set that to 18, and that will give us our starting points for everything that we have here. Next, we're going to go ahead and just do the extrudes on the bottom. We're going to actually shell this first before we do the extrudes on the bottom and the side. We can do them either way because they're going fully through, and same for the holes, but let's go ahead and just do this thickness information here. So the way we're going to do this is with the shell feature. So we'll select our part, go to our features, and do our shell command, which, let's see, where is that on here? There it is, shell part here. You can select that, or you can hit the S key and pop it up there. It's a little easier to find that way on the S key. But anyways, we'll go ahead and select this, and we're going to select the overall thickness. We're just going to go ahead and select this bottom face and this face to be our main openings here, and we can set those to 18 to keep those the same. And then we can do individual thicknesses. So we know this face here needs to have a value of 12 for that one. So that's going to select that value, select 12. And then we're going to select this face, and we actually want that one to be 14 in this case. So we want that one to be 14, and we also want this top face to be 14. So we have two that are 14 inside of here, and then our 12, and then our 18. And then we can go ahead and hit OK, and that will shell everything that we need to the right thicknesses. Now we can go ahead and add the other features here. So to do the slot feature, I'm just going to rotate around here, and I'm going to do an extrude command. and we're going to select existing part from the scene. In this case, we are going to go ahead and do a 2D shape. And let's go ahead and we're going to put on a plane on the face. We'll put on this face here, and we're going to go ahead and hit the origin point for this to be this bottom point here, so we're in the right location, and hit OK. So what we're going to do is going to draw this the shape, and then we'll position it out. So we'll use a 3-point arc groove, and I'm just going to draw this out here. So let's put some points here and draw a simple arc here, and we'll draw it like that. Okay, so we'll do a couple things here. What we want to do is make sure that we are coincident with this to our center point inside of there. And we also want to set a couple things here. One, we want to set a smart dimension for our radius, which needs to be 8. I believe it wants a total of 16 on that. Yeah, 16-inch slot. So we'll set 8 for that. And now we want to do an angle constraint for this the shape, or actually let's just do a radius dimension. So we'll just do a radius dimension for this guy inside of here. And before we do that, let's actually put this distance here from the coincident from here to our center point. Now we can do a radial dimension on this guy. In that case, the radial dimension is 72 to set that out. So that will push us out 72 from there, and we've got our 8 inside of there and our value. So now we just need to set the angle of this, and if you select on this guy, what we want to do is put an angle for that. So it's going to be an arc angle. So what we're going to do is go on to our dimensions. We have an arc angle constraint here. We'll select that, and that dimension is going to be 22 degrees inside of there. And now it kind of moved it because it can solve in either direction, which is fine. We're just going to use our rotate command, which will start in our center point, which is fine. And what we're going to do is go ahead and select all this, and we're going to right click. We're going to grab our center point, and I'm just going to push it right back to our center line here to get it centered, and hit OK. And that's going to repeat the command again, so I can start off with a new angle. In this case, it needs to be 45 off the center there, so we can go ahead and hit 45, and that will put us 45 degrees from this center point here. So go ahead and hit OK to get that shape. So that will give us our location for it, and now we can do a circular pattern, which we want to do 4 of those, and that's what we want. Hit OK, and hit Finish. And since we're in the extrude command, we can tell it to remove material, and it's going to go through that part there. And you can change it to through all or set a distance. We set it to 18 and hit OK to place that. So that will place those slots for us. Next, we can come over and do the same thing for a hole here. I'm just going to drop it right on the center point, and the thickness on that hole is actually 12 for the diameter, and we're going to move it out using the tri-ball. We're just going to move it directly out 40 because it's got a total diameter value of 80, so we'll just type that as 40. Oops, not 74. 40, there we go, to place that. And then we can hit the space bar and just drag that tri-ball and hold the shift key to get right back to the center point. And I'm going to lock this axis here. This is the axis we want to spin about. Hit the space bar one more time, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to make a link shape here. So I'm going to create 3 more of those at 90 degrees, hit OK, and that will place those for us. And then we can shrink these down. They don't have to be that long. We'll just shrink it down here so it's not cutting into the other shape. There we go. And then if we get this weird facet model here, we can just go into our part properties, not parameters, sorry. Our part properties. This is just a little faceting thing that you can adjust here. So just adjust that up a little bit, and that'll fix that. Okay, so that's all it takes to build that model there. So you can change your colors and everything else to build that. But that was just a simple way to build that model using drag and drop features and just some slight sketch modifications inside of there. So if we go to our part properties, our mass density for this guy is 2700. And we click out of that, it should be 2187 for that mass, and that's all it takes to build that model. Hopefully you found this one useful, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.